Hello and welcome to the Complaint Desk. Drop your complaints in the bin on your way out. We're just two worship pastors discussing all things worship and church leadership. I'm Danny, I'm here with Doug, and we're here to help you navigate the life and ministry of a worship pastor. Thanks for joining us today. Now let's jump right in.
What's up?
You laughing at me because I'm grooving.
Caught you dancing.
Yeah, you know, it happens sometimes. I don't dance a lot, but because everything hurts.
I try not to dance because I'm just not a good dancer.
You know, I don't know. When I was younger, it was a whole different story, but anymore.
No, I couldn't dance when I was young either.
I'm afraid I'll break a hip.
That's the age we're at now. You start thinking about liability issues.
The kids seriously say, who's going to provide for my kids when I'm laid up in the hospital?
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, man, that we get to that point, isn't it? But I guess it's life, right?
That's it.
How you doing, man?
I'm
Everything
good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. It's been an exciting week over here.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We just wrapped up VBS last night, so it's been that's been really good. We've had good crowds of kids, even though they've had to wear masks and stuff with this resurgence of COVID Delta here. But it's been a good week, man. But I'm tired, and I'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room. That big old head that if you're watching on YouTube, you see my head's pretty beat up there. I did get in a car wreck earlier this week, so that on top of VBS has made everything very exciting. So
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna give a lot of details, but I fully anticipate that they'll total my car. I'm still waiting to hear, but I wish they'd hurry up and tell me so I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
But
Process is always slow.
So let me tell you, boys and girls, always, always, always wear your seatbelt. Always wear your seatbelt, because
It saved you.
yeah, I mean, stuff comes out of nowhere when you don't expect it. So be alert, wear your seatbelt, be careful. It's amazing how much I notice everything going on around me this week when I'm driving. I mean, I'm generally, that's one thing that we try to teach the boys is always be aware of your surroundings. I mean, even when you're walking through, Target, whatever,
Keep your eyes
aware
open.
where people are.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just be aware, not suspicious. Just be aware. Don't step out in front of that, 80-year-old lady walking with a cane. Be aware that she's back there. Those kinds of things. So, and I generally am very aware of what's happening around me on the road, but it's like hyperspeed now.
Yeah. I was thinking you were talking about that for people who, and I ride a motorcycle, of course, and when you get on a motorcycle and you're exposed to the elements and all the things around you, you are keenly aware of everyone's inability to drive.
my neighbor, actually, he has a Harley, and I was talking to him the other day, and I said, I wanted a motorcycle. I have officially been cured of that desire, at least for the moment.
Yeah, imagine if you'd have been on a motorcycle in that accident.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
No.
But you know what? Just I know we get busy. I know that we get all hyper about. I got to be here on time. I got to be there on time. I got this to do. I got that to do. We're always so busy. But yeah, I learned a very valuable lesson this week. Just be aware.
Yeah. Yep.
Just be able to see what's happening around you. Just be aware where people are.
Yep.
But
and for a lot of people, it's don't be texting. Don't
put your phone.
Yeah, that's one of the things. And I probably do it occasionally. I always try to put it in I've got a quad lock and I hang my phone on my thing. But I do that first thing when I get in the vehicle, because if I don't, I'll have it beside me and I'll try to look at it and do things. But it diverts your attention away. For that split second, you could be in an accident quickly.
I mean, depending on what you drive, you're driving anywhere between a 1.5 ton vehicle.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little more if you got a big truck or a big SUV, but that's a lot of weight and it's a lot of speed, especially the way some people drive, especially down there where you are.
Oh goodness. Florida's fabulous for lots and lots and lots of things, and I love it here. But the one thing that I believe the most that I do not like is the driving, and everyone here blames it on the Northerners coming down. It ain't all that. It's people here in Florida don't know how to drive, or they know how to drive and they think they're NASCAR drivers is what it is.
So, I got to tell you, man, my prayer life is never better than when I get in an Uber down there.
Oh yeah, Uber and Lyft drivers are insane. Yeah, it's like the Indy 500.
We've flown into Fort Lauderdale or Orlando or someplace like that and called an Uber to wherever we were going, just because it's easier than renting a car generally. But I just half the time down there, people don't speak English. I mean, I can't tell you how many cars we've gotten in and the person has not spoken English.
Right.
We have to show them on a map where we're going so that they can kind of see where it is. And then it's just,
hold on.
just close your eyes and pray.
Hold on. Wow.
Y'all some crazy people down there. There's no way I'd want to drive that all the time. I thought people here were bad until that first Uber I got in down there, or Lyft or whatever it was I was in. Jill and I, man, we were just holding hands, just saying, "Dear Lord,
I tell people,
vacation."
I tell people all the time, and they're like, no, it's bad where we drive. And I'm sure it's bad in like New York and LA and places like that. Florida's got to be our highway system down here. People, if it's 70, they're going to do 95. And that's not even an exaggeration.
I don't know how I don't know how you drive an Uber and take your passengers
95 miles an hour.
Weaving in and out of traffic on the phone. I'm just like, oh, you people are killing me.
Yeah.
Please don't literally kill me. So everywhere is bad. Florida is like next level bad.
Yeah.
And just especially down Miami, down in that area.
Oh yeah.
Oh
for
my
sure.
goodness. Oh my goodness. It scares me to death.
We are tops in the country as far as wrecks and fatalities on our highway system. So
we were on a mountain in Puerto Rico one time, and I was not nearly as scared as I was being in that Uber in Fort Lauderdale.
I mean, God bless you, Uber. It's not you. It's particular crazy drivers here in
Florida.
Florida.
But I had no control.
Yeah.
And even if I did have control, they're still on the road.
And he doesn't speak English. You don't know what the word for slow down is.
Slow down.
It's the look of fear.
Yeah, when I reach up and pull the emergency brake, that's the slow down cue. Dude, what are you doing?
And then you're in the front seat with the guy at that point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. So, friends, just be safe. Be aware.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. First thing when you text me a picture of your vehicle, I was like, oh my goodness. And
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, so glad God protected you. You're all right. Sores all, and you have big old knot on your forehead there. And how's your arm?
They're all right. It's both of them. but the knot is gone. The knot on my right arm is mostly gone. I still feel a little bit of swelling there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that this week, so with VBS, we have a big VBS celebration on Sunday morning. That's going to be the worship service. So I'm very grateful that I don't have to play piano this week because I'm not sure I could. So I could probably play for about 5 minutes and then I would have to be done.
Goodness.
Yeah. So hopefully that all kind of clears up and goes away once I kind of get past this a little more. But anyway, I'm not here to be the DMV on you today. I'm not here to I'm just here to caution you. But what I am going to do, though, I do want to talk to you a little bit about Scripture. I mean, because even when you're laying around in bed, you can read the Bible, right? But as I'm on this plan, it has now wrapped back around into the Psalms. So I'm on my second go around through Psalms. And the one that really kind of stood out to me this week was Psalm 3 as I was reading through them. This is David, the pre-verse, the description, if you will, says a psalm of David when he fled from Absalom his son. And it says this, O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for you strike all my enemies on the cheek.
Mm.
You break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be on your people. Selah. So, good chapter. You know, I take a little refuge. You know, one thing I will say about the wreck is this. So this is my first real. I mean, I've had little fender benders before, but nothing like this. And one of the things that really strikes me is when I lay down at night, I can't shut it off. I replay the whole thing over and over and over and over and over. It's weird how that happens. Doesn't matter how much I try to stop, how much I try to focus on something else. I just replay it. Could I have done? The answer is doesn't matter because I didn't.
Right. A little PTSD from it.
Yeah, a little, kind of.
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, it's not as extreme, but.
Yeah, I mean, you know, scared to go to sleep. I mean, you see my head now. You should have seen it earlier this week.
I've got pictures. You want me to flash them up here?
No. Well, you should have seen it right when I got out. Blood running all down my face and everything. It was crazy.
Oh, goodness.
But verse 5, I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. You know, I mean, that's what I kept telling myself in bed. I mean, I had just read that passage. That's what I kept telling myself laying there. God, you'll sustain me. If it's my time, it's my time. Otherwise, you'll sustain me. Well, I guess technically it sustains me either way, right? But it's just, where am I being sustained?
Yeah, you're sustained. You're sustained, brother. You're sustained.
But just taking comfort in the fact that, you know, no matter what's going on around me, that God's got my best interests at hand in mind as it comes to what's going to bring him glory, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. That verse 3 and 4 is actually the spring-off verse for the Brooklyn Tab song, Thou, O Lord, if you remember that.
I don't know if I know that.
Oh, you need to hit YouTube up. That choirs all over try to do that one, but you need a you need a choir like Brooklyn Tab has to do that. It's called Thou, O Lord, are a shield to me.
I'll look it up. Have you ever been to Brooklyn Tabernacle?
Yes, it is pretty phenomenal. We talk about like stuff. My church doesn't have a choir right now, and your church does, and you know the validity of having it or not having it. And I promise you, every worship pastor, music guy wants a choir like Brooklyn Tab. Oh, yeah. But you know, we don't have that. But that's a good verse. You need to go listen to that song. It's pretty phenomenal.
I'll tell you, we went there probably, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It was more than that. It's probably been about 15 years ago. I'm not sure that my kids were even born last time I was there when we went to Brooklyn Tab. And I don't want to hear anything about 7-Eleven songs.
Oh, gosh.
We literally sang the same line for 45 minutes.
And that's characteristic of when I was in the military, I went to an African-American church on base. This was during the first part when I was in Alabama. And it was an African-American church, and we did songs for 2 hours and a half, like 2 songs. It was great, though. I didn't mind it a bit. It was fantastic just to get in a place and sing with God's people. It was kind of neat.
I mean, I'm certainly not complaining about it, but it was just, you know, as I thought about that after the fact, I'm like, we really just sang one line for 45 minutes. It was kind of the hook of the chorus, and we sang that one line over and over and over.
Yep.
So
yeah, the stuff you'll see on Brooklyn Tab CDs, now they put all that together, write the music and do all that stuff. You won't see that on the CDs, but in-house, most sure.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm surprised at how small that is. I mean, you hear a lot about it. It is not a very big place. You're just in a theater, like an old theater.
Right. Christ Church, if you've ever heard of Christ Church Choir, they're much similar. You go to there, it's my sanctuary here in South Florida is bigger than Christ Church, I think. But wonderful choir, wonderful music. They have, dude, you ought to see it. They have curtains that come down over the whole front area. It's in a kind of a curved, probably like everybody's sanctuary is in the front. It's kind of curved. Yeah. They have full-on heavy curtains that come down, and at the beginning they split and shoot up, and then the choir, all the lights and everything's on. kind of like a show, like you might see, but
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
dramatic
for those
effect.
churches that are in those kinds of buildings,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I'm at those theaters all over
Yeah.
New York,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I imagine if you're going to be a church, that's probably what you're going to have to look for. Otherwise, you're going to be in an office building somewhere, right?
Yeah. And you can
Or move out of the city.
you can think negatively about it and say, "Oh, this is show or performance," or the way I kind of saw it was, what a dramatic way to launch into a call to worship. What a real call to worship would be for your service. Whoosh, there you are. You're singing. You're standing up. It's
Well,
pretty neat.
it's context too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that is the context that they're in, so they use what they have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the building they have.
Yep.
Sure, if I had it, I'd use it too.
Oh yeah, shoot yeah.
So, you know,
I could see
Anyway.
our people. Oh, that'd be a great Sunday morning.
I'll start my traditional service that way.
Inst-
We had to have EMS on standby.
I come to the garden alone.
I would. They'd send me to the garden alone. Man,
All right.
go ahead.
So I'm still in Ecclesiastes, and I'm telling you, I love this book. It really steps on my toes quite a bit with things. But Ecclesiastes 5, and this morning I'm just reading out of the New Living Translation. My Bible was set to that on my YouVersion app, and I just left it there because I was looking up something prior to that. But if Ecclesiastes 5, starting at verse 1, it says, "As you enter the house of God, keep your ears open and your mouth shut. It is evil to make mindless offerings to God. Don't make rash promises. Don't be hasty in bringing matters before God. After all, God is in heaven and you are here on earth. So let your words be few." That's the little tagline we always say, let your words be few, but we don't give the rest of the verses there sometimes. Verse 3, too much activity gives you restless dreams, Danny. So don't be getting in wrecks. It gives you restless dreams. Too many words make you a fool. And that's kind of the part that was hitting on me there a little bit. This is when you make a promise to God, don't delay following it through. For God takes no pleasure in fools. Keep all your promises you make him. It is better to say nothing than to make a promise and not keep it. Don't let your mouth make you sin, and don't defend yourself or justify yourself by telling the temple messenger that the promise you made was a mistake. Because we always try to justify things that we promise
Right.
God,
Right.
and that would make God angry, and he might wipe out everything you have achieved. Talk is cheap. Living daydreams and other useless activities. Fear God instead. And that's the Living Translation just kind of brings that alive a bit.
Yeah, so the ESV says, "For when dreams increase and words grow many, there is vanity, but God is the one you must fear."
Yeah, yeah, and that's that whole thought for the whole book. All is vanity, and of course we know this was likely written by Solomon. He had asked for wisdom to lead God's people because he knew he couldn't do it. But here's I don't know if you call it a catch-22, but the rock and the hard place here is Solomon asked for this wisdom, and he's discovering that through wisdom, all is vanity. And everything he's been doing and trying to achieve for God or achieve for himself or achieve for anybody is vanity.
Mm-hmm.
But it underscores in these first few verses kind of what I was thinking through in this process of too many words make you a fool. Recently, and in all the things that we talk about a lot about how the world's gone crazy, and it seems like even on the Christian end of things, Christians have a lot to say. And somebody just said to me the other day, well, Doug, you really need to stand up for what's right because this is how we got into this place. And I would say to that, and to a certain degree, yes, possibly, but what does standing up mean? Does it mean just sit around and complain? Does it mean sit around and gripe about all the things? Or is there a better way to stand up for God and right? And are we even right in standing up for?
Well, and with the cultural climate right now,
Yeah.
What are we standing up for?
What are we standing up for? Right.
That would be my probably first question.
Well, and I think of what would the whole proverbial what would Jesus do kind of a thing.
Yeah. You got your bracelet on?
No, I don't. I got my Apple Watch on. So I got the evil Apple, So what would Jesus do? I don't think Jesus would be so quick to stand up for what's right. What has he told us to do? Okay, the harvest is white. Go reach people for Christ. The whole point of the whole gospel and his entire ministry was to point people to God. And let's just put it, rubber meets the road. You and I, because we're saved, we're going to heaven. Our mission is to take other people with us.
Right.
And through the power of the Holy Spirit in that, and convicting people and getting them saved. There's nothing higher than that. There's nothing even close to that. So what are we actually standing up for? Standing up for my rights, standing up for this and that. We're standing up for ourselves is what it ended up coming down to. We're not standing up for God.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would be doing what we're told to by God.
I find myself often kind of stuck in between. Well, it's the age-old issue, right? It's you've got the things of God, and you've got the things of this world, right? And some of these things, yeah, I do think you should stand up for. But if that takes the place of standing up for God, then all of this, whatever, it's vanity, right?
Yeah, I think, and I am a big proponent of, yes, we have rights. We talk about America. We love America. We have rights. We have a free country, one of the most blessed countries on the face of the earth for our, short time comparatively to other countries that have been in existence. Obviously, we need to fight for that and stand up for that because that's the basis of where the gospel can spring out. But what happens when one crosses the other? One becomes more of a priority than the other. The Bible directs us. We're not citizens here. And I was telling our Bible study last night, if I live to be the max number of years that's expected for me to live in this earth, 90? There's a little fly on my microphone. If I live to be 90 years old, let's say I live the max, 90, 95, let's say I make it to 100. What's that in comparison to eternity? Yeah. It's nothing. So what Solomon says,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Scripture says your life is like a vapor, like a mist that burns up with the rising of the sun.
So Solomon comes to grips with that in this book and says, hey, my 100 years and all the wisdom that I can put to it is vanity. I've been striving for the wrong things. If I'm not striving
after wind.
Yeah, and that's the definition of the vanity, chasing the wind. So if I'm chasing the wind, I'm not doing anything for God. And what is it? Okay, what is it that God has us do? Go reach people for the lost, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying we as Christians have learned to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think sometimes because all this in priority issue. What's the most important thing? Yeah. Obviously, there are other things that are tertiary that that come as important, but not as important. Yeah. We want to do all of it. Now, I'm trying not to say key words here that might inflict pain upon someone's ears. Not curse words, but I could push buttons, and I could say, for instance, many times in America, I think we put patriotism over God. Yeah. And things like that. So
we at least put them on an equal plane.
Yeah. As I wear my July 4th Tampa Bay Rays hat. So this, but this is.
I thought I was wearing my red, white, and blue shoes, but I'm not.
But this is not important as important as God and His gospel. So
yeah, I just like the shoes.
Yeah, I just like the hat.
I mean, it's all interesting. You look at this passage. I mean, the thing that keeps coming to mind, and you've heard this quote 100 times, right? It's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you a fool than open it and remove all doubt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who that's ultimately attributed to, but
it's a lesson we all keep learning, is what it is.
You'll probably find that all over the place, but it's the exact same thing right here. Same thing that Solomon's saying. More words. As we sit here on a podcast, the more words, the more foolish we tend to be, right?
Yeah.
So, but I want to key in as we kind of transition here. One of the things you talked about was our mission to go and to make disciples. You have an opportunity potentially on the horizon here to do that, and I want to set this up kind of put it this way: as worship leaders, one of the things that I hear a lot, and I'm not thinking anything specifically here, but I've heard this a number of times from as I listen to other worship leaders talk. Yes, our job is worship, but more than all of that, we are called to make disciples, as we were just saying. And there are times when you get the opportunity to go. There are times where you get the opportunity to be able to go and to serve. I talked about going to New York. We went and we served people there. I talked about Puerto Rico. We went and we served in an orphanage there in Puerto Rico.
Vietnam.
Over in Asia.
Vietnam,
yeah. So those are places that you go and you serve when you're called, when God opens those doors for you. So as we think about those things, we kind of think about what's happening around the world right now. You have an opportunity not to lead worship, but to go and work and to help share the gospel and to bring relief to people. Tell us a little bit about your potential trip there.
Yeah. And there's no greater worship than to be about the mission of God. That sounded really, really smart, by the way. I've heard that. I didn't come up with it. I've heard somebody else say that, but really it is true. There's no greater worship than to be about God's mission, because you're glorifying the one you believe in the most. And so our church here in South Florida, First Baptist Church of Bradenton, we have an opportunity with our new pastor. He's been here about 4 months, to go to Haiti and help out with some of the earthquake destruction and things like that. We, our pastor, Pastor Luke, has a brother named Mark. He has 4 brothers: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Seriously?
Yes.
Like, did you plan that?
I think their father and mother did, but so Mark, it belongs to Haiti Bible Mission there in it's like southwest Haiti.
Wait a minute. Are there any girls in the family?
They're not.
Mary
I guess
and
it's
Martha?
just brothers. Well, there's wives.
Wow.
There's wives of the.
Well, sure, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting. It's like how you couldn't
Mary,
you couldn't plan that any
Martha,
better, could you?
Rahab. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, back to Haiti.
Yeah, so we have an opportunity to go to Haiti, and what it boils down to is just really putting some resources through Haiti Bible Mission there, because what they're doing, and this is free information to know, there was a lot of destruction, a lot of things going on. A lot of people need medical assistance, and hospitals are running capacity and over. So there's a lot of people feeding the hospitals, the workers, things like that, and those who need it, those who have lost everything, those kinds of situations, and they're doing a tremendous work there. So we may have an opportunity, or we will have an opportunity to go down at some point. We were looking to put a trip together here in the next 3 weeks, but it may change, as far as airlines availability and things like that. But nonetheless, it feels good to be. We're not doing it for that reason, but it feels good to be about God's mission in any way we can help. So our church is going to be pressing toward the mark there to help fund the trip and help get resources together and stuff like that. So
do you know what kind of work specifically you'd be doing?
Probably doing a lot of helping, feeding people, encouragement. Encouragement is a big thing. If you think about Hurricane Katrina, when Katrina came through New Orleans, a lot of restoration, a lot of rebuilding, a lot of cleanup, but there was a lot of encouragement that needed to happen. And people forget that part. When you lose everything and you're facing no way to get any of that back except through hard work, you need encouragement, and you need
the generosity of others.
Yeah, and generosity of others. And we would all be in that situation, were it not for the grace of God. So we have that opportunity. Really looking forward to that. I'll possibly be going on these trips, or this trip. I need to get passport things in order. Didn't realize you had to have a passport that spanned 6 months past the date you would come back. That's a rule I didn't know about. So, yeah. So if you're,
Yeah, mine's coming up soon, so I probably need to start the process
yeah,
based on what you're telling me with appointments and stuff.
yeah, the customs, passport offices, things like that are so backed up. They've stopped
Yeah.
all in-house traffic. It's by emergency appointment only. So if you, I think it's about 18 weeks if you just mail it to renew. So if you need a passport renewed, you better get it quickly
Yeah.
and be ready. So we've got to follow, COVID protocols and all these different things. There's lots of details to work out. We're just trusting the Lord that He's going to work that out. So there's lots of flight agencies. Our former transition pastor, Alan Spear, runs a flight agency. It's a nonprofit where they fly supplies and food and different things down to a lot of these places. So they're actively working and making trips down to fly resources, medical supplies, food, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of stuff, lots of working parts.
So, is that something where you'll go one trip, or are you going to try to keep people down there for a while? I mean, I know some churches they have the ability to, if you're large enough, you can find people that you'll kind of keep a presence on the ground for a month or two
Mm-hmm.
or so, or is this just kind of a one-off thing for you guys at least right now?
I think it's something I would like. I know our pastor has it in his mind, in his heart, for the people of Haiti, and I think it's going to be something good for our church as well. So I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. We also, and our pastor did a really good job with this, just talking about this with our church members. We also give to the Southern Baptist Convention.
Mm-hmm.
And let me underscore this, in your church, if you belong to Southern Baptist Church, you're giving your tithes, the things that go to your church gives a portion of that to the Southern Baptist Convention. So if you're not tithing, you're not giving into the mission of God in that capacity. You may be giving in another capacity, but for us as Southern Baptists, we have one of the greatest missions organizations in the world to be able to. Southern Baptists are already mobilized. They're already putting resources into helping Haiti and doing trips and doing all these things. They probably have enough bodies. I would say likely because I had called about that and they said, oh, we need money. We need resources to go
Yeah.
and take them and do that kind of stuff. So that's for as far as the Southern Baptists. Our pastor did a good job explaining that and just reminding people give. Even if you don't have something that an avenue where you can give and you trust, give through the Southern Baptist Convention. Those monies go straight to Haiti and other places that are in need.
So, particularly here in North Carolina, and I'm sure other states are pretty similar. Every dollar you give, a certain percentage of it stays in state to do certain things for your state convention. A percentage of it will go. The rest of it, I guess, goes to the Southern Baptist National Convention,
Right.
and then there, of course, it gets distributed based on certain percentages to seminaries, to North American Mission Board, to International Mission Board,
Yeah.
to Executive Committee. I mean, your money really gets divided. It goes all over the place when you give to a Southern Baptist church who participates in the cooperative program
Right.
giving.
And think of the impact you have with just a little bit of money that we give comparatively, I guess.
Sure.
So the impact you have on seminary students, on local missions, and then international missions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there are some pretty complicated formulas, and particularly, good gracious, seminary enrollment and how much funding they get and things like
Yeah.
that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But on top of all that, in North Carolina, we have the North Carolina Missions Offering, and I'm sure
Yeah.
most states with a Southern Baptist state convention do something pretty similar. But in the fall, the North Carolina Missions Offering comes up, and every bit of that
100%.
offering
Yeah.
goes to disaster relief. That is something that is used for, you mentioned like Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
That's used for, we've had a number of hurricane relief trips here in state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, places that we can jump out for an hour and a half, and we're in places that are still dealing with flooding from hurricanes years ago. That the work in Haiti, I mean, they'll do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Rico, particularly the North Carolina Baptist Men. Now that title, that that name is at this point a little bit misleading because it's Baptist all over,
Right.
It's not just men. They've held on to that name, but the guys in the yellow hats, right?
Yep.
I mean, those are the people that you're looking for when you have a disaster, because they are. There was an interesting article that was posted. I think they're number 3. Baptists are number 3 in the world to Red Cross and who's the other one?
United Way.
No. Red Cross and whoever. It doesn't matter. Basically, we were number 3 in putting people on the ground for work. So you will have, as these things happen, as right now, you guys and we, to a minimal extent, dealt with Fred last week, Tropical Storm Fred.
I didn't even know it went by.
Yes.
We're used to it in Florida.
Well, we got a lot of real heavy rain real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Is really the only reason I knew it. But of course, we got that last night too. So, But so right now, because of Fred, Asheville, it's hard to think about the mountains being underwater. But there are places in Asheville that are flooded. And so our North Carolina folks, and I'm sure folks from other states, they're on the ground in Asheville right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we have folks in Haiti too. So all that to say, I mean, I'm not trying to toot our horn here, but I am trying to say, if you want to be involved, if you want to help people, if you want to lead your church to help other people who are in a pretty serious, pretty bad way, you have avenues.
Oh yeah, there are avenues. You can't use it as an excuse. And one of the things that I see many times is every denomination, not everybody has a convention, but speaking as far as Southern Baptist, you end up seeing a lot of the dirt, or you see a lot of the bad side of things, and there's bad stuff with everything.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. And we've talked about that on this podcast, but not a lot of the good things get publicized, very much. And I've told people many times why I'm so proud to be Southern Baptist is not those other things.
It's not the fights.
It's this mechanism of being able to give my money and my time and my efforts, and it impacts so many various things for the kingdom of God. I don't think it's like anything else in really anywhere.
Well, the cooperative program in general, I mean, it allows, whether you're a church of 10,000 people or whether you're a church of 10 people, whatever you give, you're part of the mission, right? If your church takes in $500 a month and you give $50 a month to the convention, let's say you give 10%. A lot of churches do percentages. Some have dollar amounts. However you do it, whatever you give, I mean, that money puts you on mission, and it enables you. It helps to put these avenues in place that enable you to go and serve. Right. I mean, these are things that you can't do yourself, most likely. There are very few churches that can have the impact that that the cooperative program allows every church to have.
Yeah. We have almost 9,000 missionaries, right? We have almost
it's a lot.
9,000 missionaries, and that's not including
all over the world.
That's not including the 5,000, just over 5,000 missions-related organizations that are part of and cooperate with the Southern Baptist Convention, like disaster relief, like the men, like the WMU, and different things throughout the Southern Baptist Convention, disaster relief stuff. And the only reason I know that is because I just taught a discovery, like First Steps class this past Sunday. And somebody asked me, well, why are we Southern Baptist? Well, I've got it right here. Let's go. Let's talk about it. This is why we're Southern Baptist. Not because we're this and that and the other, but because of the cooperative program. Well, are we an autonomous church? You belong to a convention. You have to do what the convention says. No. Every Southern Baptist church is an independent, autonomous church. They hire their own pastors. They make their own decisions. That can go awry, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that can go awry, and it often does. But the benefit to that is we're a group of over, 8,000 churches cooperating towards a mission. That's tremendous. That's tremendous.
Yeah. So, you know, go. Let me encourage you. Go. There are places like Haiti that you can go. If you want to come to North Carolina and do some disaster relief, come. Go to Asheville. Our folks can. I can put you in contact with whoever you need to be able to go and to help serve food. To provide shower trailers and things like that. I mean, it's amazing, particularly in North Carolina, because I'm very familiar, obviously, with that. But it's amazing what we can do to help people.
Yeah.
Right. When we're called on to help, and when we can go and we can be the hands and the feet of Jesus and tangibly help people, whether it's fixing a house, providing a hot meal, providing shower, clothes washing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So all of that at the same time, as we look to what's happening on the other side of the world, I just want to be an encouragement to you today. This situation that's happening over in Afghanistan is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my own personal thoughts on that, and I'm not going to get into all of that. I don't want to get political on this, but what I do want to do is I want to encourage you to, especially right now, avoid the political discussion, because right now what we need is we need people to pray.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really hard to go. I don't know what you can do if you do go, but what you do need to do is you need to pray. You need to pray for everybody over there, including those that are stirring the pot right now in the Taliban. You need to be praying for them, because God can change anybody. The Holy Spirit can get a hold of anybody and can change anybody and use them to do things that you can never imagine. But particularly today, I want to encourage you to pray for the believers that are still there.
Yeah.
The ones that are now particularly going to come under fire because they have helped Americans as we've tried to help that region over there. Those that have been translators, those that have tried to help bring freedom to people there. Pray for the pastors. Pray for the believers, the Christians that are there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to get bad.
It already is. Yeah.
We can't imagine what that's like here.
Mm-mm.
We just can't. Folks that have served there, they get it. It's unfathomable to me what people are dealing with.
Well, and also I think it's good for people to realize, just like you said, but also realize that you don't know everything. I'm not saying you specifically, but I've heard all of a sudden, all these people that had PhDs in COVID and infectious diseases now have PhDs in international relations in Afghanistan. And I've got friends who served in Afghanistan in the military. We don't know everything, and we don't even know what we think we know sometimes.
Probably don't want to know everything.
We don't want to know everything. There's things that have happened that we don't know and we'll never know. And I get it. We're trusting our government. We're trusting people to tell us these things, and everybody wants answers and all that. But don't get caught up in forgetting, for a Christian, their main priority and their main goal. It is God and His gospel.
We just talked about that. Yep.
What is most important? We're praying for everyone involved. We don't want to see women and children hurt, or men, or anybody. But Christians specifically have given up their lives. They're either native Afghanis or they have gone from our country to be missionaries to that country. You're not going to see them on billboards. They need to be not known, because of the potential things like this. Yep. They're really giving their lives in a true fashion to Christ and His mission. So we need to pray for these people, and pray for our own attitudes, that we don't lose sight of our citizenship and where our citizenship lies. Right. So I just see
ambassadors of this world.
Yeah.
Ambassadors of Christ.
Every Christian pundit and blog writer and whatever, everybody's got PhDs in foreign relations now. And it's discouraging to see, but let us encourage you to stay focused. And
so, just like Solomon said here, what we don't need right now is a whole bunch of words.
Yeah.
Explaining your diplomatic position on all of this, your military stance on all of this. What you need to do, particularly as a Christian, as a brother and sister in Christ, is you need to take time to stop and pray.
Right. Yeah.
Pray for these folks that are on the ground.
My favorite has been, I didn't mean to cut you off, but my favorite has been people who comment about military things. And my first question, have you served in the military? Well, no, I didn't serve in the military. Well,
What are you talking about?
well, I've got a friend who's got a neighbor who lived in a
Yeah.
town where someone went to Afghanistan. Well, that doesn't make you an authority in anything. What does he say? Talk is cheap. Let like daydreams and useless activities. Fear God instead.
Yeah.
I've never been to Afghanistan. I was in the military, served in multiple locations. That was not one of them. I can't speak to what's going on there. I can speak to some of the military portions of it, but
Yeah.
just be cautious and use wise words.
I mean, I can only speak. I didn't serve. I've never been to the Middle East. The only thing I can speak to is from a human perspective as image bearers of Christ,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And that's probably the most healthy thing we can do. It doesn't mean you can't be mad. It doesn't mean you can't be focused.
Have your opinion,
yeah,
but you don't have to share it.
yeah, yeah.
It's not necessary
But
for
Danny,
you to tell everybody what you think.
standing up for what's right.
Uh,
Again, we've
Well,
talked about
don't put
that.
it out there if you don't want me to share my opinion. Right?
Right.
It's funny. I mean, it's just
Don't let your
you
mouth
know,
make you sin.
I
Verse
just-
6.
I get frustrated with all the talk from people who should know better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When really what we need to be doing, and I'm not trying to be self-righteous or holier than thou or any of that stuff, because I'm really not. But what's needed right now is prayer.
Yeah.
There will come a time potentially when we can put boots on the ground and help, but now is not that. Now is prayer. That's about all we can do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even get over there.
No.
I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably get in the country, but I don't know that I want to ride a camel that far
Yeah.
or a donkey.
Well, it's a rock throw from a lot of different places, and there are people there.
Yeah.
There are Southern Baptists there. There are
Sure, yeah.
other Christians and other denominations there. What they would say to us is the best you can do and the most you can do right now is pray for me, my family, and whoever is
Yep.
involved.
Yeah.
Pray for them to be stalwart Christians. Pray for them to love God the best and put Him first.
You know what? Isn't it funny how that's generally our last line of response
Yeah.
is prayer?
Yeah.
When really, if we really truly believed what we said, it would be number one
Yeah.
priority, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So, and I find it's that way with most of the Christian life. If we really believe the things and we really felt strongly enough about the things that we say, we would do them.
Mm-hmm.
We as Christians, we talk about how important it is to read our Bible, but I would guess that if you poll the people in your church, you'll find that there are very few that actually spend time in it every day. I mean, you put any regularity to it, your percentage is going to be small.
My pastor said something Sunday, and I meant to put it up as a quote this week on social media, but he said something that was really biting, but it convicted me a bit in that he said a lot of us are really good at saying the prayer requests or putting the prayer requests out there, but we're really not that good at actually praying for those things. And it was paraphrasing, but it was convicting.
So that becomes our gossip time, right? It's kind of what that is.
Let me put this prayer request on Facebook. Complain.
Yeah. And I'm making a blanket statement, and of course those are never 100% true, but just know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
God knows your heart.
Yeah.
You know your heart.
Yeah.
He knows it better than you do.
Yeah.
So just be aware of all this that's going on around us. Be praying for people. Pray for those that are in Afghanistan and the surrounding areas. Pray for those folks that are in Haiti, the ones in Nashville right now dealing with flooding.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these folks. Pray for your neighbor that doesn't know Jesus.
Right.
I mean, these are things that are they're easy and they're extremely difficult all at the same time.
Pray for instead of praying for needs and requests, which we should bring to the Lord, all the time, but pray for the testimony that you have, that you're not tarnishing the testimony of Christ with lots of words or with lack of words. It can go the other way. Sometimes there's times to speak, but pray for that testimony, like I was thinking about my unsaved, we do the Who's Your One, the Southern Baptist,
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I was thinking about that one that I have here in my neighborhood. What is my testimony? What am I showing Christ? How am I showing Christ to them?
Yeah.
And am I damaging that testimony? Sometimes that might mean that I be quiet, or sometimes it might mean that I speak up.
Yeah. Well, there are times to do so. Certainly, times to speak up, times to stand for what really matters. Just know when those are. Be wise. Be discerning about when those times are. But
You almost
anyway,
had me singing the Mama and Papa's song. In every season, turn.
All right, no, stop that. So as we kind of wrap up here, I appreciate you guys tuning in today. But before we go, as we always do, I want to share set list, what we've got planned for this weekend. And brother, it's all on you this weekend because we're a VBS celebration. So
Woohoo!
we are. There's nothing wrong with a Christmas song in summer.
Oh, I actually started liking that song, but
I love that little song.
The song that I like the most, the little 70s kickback. Can you dig it?
Oh yeah,
I really like that. That was fun.
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
Yeah, the music it's very catchy this year. Of course, it's normally pretty catchy.
Yeah.
It's just I didn't hate these like I have hated some in the past.
Some of them I hated.
By the end of the week, you're just like, if I hear it, scream.
The boys want to play the CD in the truck, and you're just like, no, we're not doing it. So Sunday, August 22nd, starting with oldie but goodie.
Oh, imagine that.
Your Grace is Enough.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then Jailbreak, or for the people who don't like the word jailbreak, I'm Going Free.
Okay.
Amazing Grace, Chains Are Gone. We're doing some Waymaker as well, in the key of B. And then we'll close out the service with, I hadn't decided yet, one of those as a reprise.
Yeah.
But
I like Waymaker, man. It's like it takes so long to get going sometimes. If your band's not good, it can be a struggle.
It's a 7.5 minute song, and
even if your band is good, it can be a struggle.
It can be a struggle. I reduced it back to about 5.5 minutes because it does the chorus like 3 times, the bridge 3 times, and then comes back to the chorus twice, and you're just like, he's a way maker, but we can't get out of this song, so we need to make a way out of this song.
Yeah. I mean, I love it.
Oh yeah,
it's a great song, but it's just, you get to a certain point. I'm like, all right,
well,
let's move on.
You apply it to today, okay? It's the same. The 90s. It's a repeat of the 90s song. God will make a way where there seems to be no way.
Oh my gosh,
you remember that?
Yeah.
So
yes,
he's a way maker. It's not a repeat of that song, but the mentality and thought is when you're communicating that to your congregation. Look, the thing you're going through right now, God makes a way through that. Just trust Him in the process. Yeah. So,
well, brother, I appreciate you.
Amen.
Praying for you, particularly as you're working through this passport stuff.
Yeah.
If you can get that rolling, I'm praying for y'all as y'all plan the trip and all that stuff. I hope that you can get that going. And I will say, anybody listening that's interested in such things, send us a note. We can get you in contact with people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We can help you get where you need to get to be able to do the things you want to do to help in some of these situations. Send us a note, info@thecomplaintdesk.com. We'll get you in contact with the person that you need to be. I can help you out here in North Carolina. Doug actually could too. But he's your guy in Florida. So
South Florida.
I don't know anything about what the Florida Baptist Convention is doing or anything like that, but I can get you in contact with people that can help you. And
then find even if you don't contact us, get involved in your local church. You should be in a local church. Your local church is likely doing something with missions. Get involved there. And if not, maybe that's the ringing bell, ask the question, what are we doing for missions and how can I help?
Well, and as a worship leader, particularly, so we come back around as worship leaders, this is maybe your opportunity to step up, step out of your comfort zone and go do some other things other than playing guitar or piano and singing, right? Because yes, that might be your job, but that's not all you're called to do.
Right.
So get involved, go do things, help people where you can, be a blessing to others, pray for one another. We'll pray for you as you lead this weekend. Brother, I'm praying for you.
Thanks a lot. I
I
appreciate
think
it.
I'm on sound this weekend. Actually, it'll be first time doing that for a service anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be my task for the weekend. But whatever you're doing, wherever you are, we're praying for you for your services. Pray that the gospel will go forth with boldness and that people will be impacted for Christ's sake. So, brother, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Praying for you, and we look forward to hearing what God does through services and stuff this weekend. Thank you, brother.
See you,
Hope
man.
you'll have a great week, and we will see you all next time. Have a great day.